Vincenzo said that he wanted to play like that one day. Do you really believe that? Do you really believe you can? The old man asked. The young boy replied, yes. That is the key to unlocking your opus. The old man smiled and told him that he had just begun on the road to becoming great. He gave Vincenzo a notebook and told him to write down exactly what he wanted and to keep the book with him always. Vincenzo wrote that one day he would become one of the greatest violinists the world had ever known. The old man put his hand on the boy's shoulder. When you get there, don't stop. Remember, your opus isn't what you do. It will be the legacy of what you've become. Vincenzo did not understand. The old master smiled and said, one day you will. As Vincenzo left the old man, he was grateful, for he had been given a great gift. And although he would never know the man's name, the man had changed his life forever.
Vision is all about who you've decided to be, as if you had a magic wand that you could wave over your life, that you could actually be and do and have everything that's important to you, where you could be fulfilled and you could be in rich relationships and you could be abundant, attracting wealth and all the great things that we all want in life.
You know, you can start your, if you will, your path at a very early age or start it much later in life. I don't think it really matters when you start. But I think what you should try to be thinking about and looking for is something you just love to do. Something that really gives you energy. You've got a passion and that you feel you can commit yourself to.
Some people get into vision and purpose and they make it so huge, or they think it has to be so big that they scare themselves and they almost freeze themselves and don't come up with anything.
Your vitality in life is directly proportionate to the vividness of your vision. And when you have a clear vision, magnetic things occur and you draw into your life amazing synchronicities. People, places, things, ideas, and events start to synchronize in your life to help you fulfill your vision.
The law of attraction just says that anything we think, feel, say, and do, we attract to us. So we're always creating through what we're putting out in our thoughts, our feelings, our words, and our actions.
A very common misconception about the law of attraction, people learning it, is that it's all about positive thinking, and it is not. Positive thinking is obviously, probably more beneficial than negative thinking, sustained negative thinking. But positive thinking can mean just that you're thinking about things that would normally make a person happy. But if you're not truly emotionally involved with your thoughts, you're not really having an attractive power. In other words, if you're visualizing a car, or you're visualizing a house, or you're visualizing lots of money, or whatever your version of success is, but you don't have any real feeling about it, that is in alignment with that. In other words, if you don't feel positive about those thoughts, you're actually not attracting anything positive.
It's the feeling that powers our thoughts. The Institute of Heart Math, which is the most widely recognized research institute on the heart, has shown that our hearts have an energy field around them that's 5,000 times more powerful than our brains. So this is the real power source for people. And when we want something from our head, it can only go so far. But when we power it with the feeling in our heart, the feeling of knowing that I can get it, the feeling of love behind that thought, then we are moved to the inspired action that will bring us what it is we're wanting.
Anytime we set goals that are not congruent with our highest values, we're going to tend to not stay focused on them. We're going to keep going back to what's truly important to us. And so it's very crucial to set objectives that are congruent and aligned with the highest values, because when you do, you don't require outside motivation. You're inspired from within.
I work with teens every day. I've worked with thousands of teenagers all over the country. And what I know to help teenagers love and believe in themselves and have that success-driven vision that so many adults have is the very first thing you have to do is be original. Be yourself. Don't conform, don't transform. Find your own original gifts. You have them, you have so many, and lead with those.
Belief in yourself is the first step to anything great. If you don't believe you can do it, you're finished even before you get to the starting line. You see it all the time in grade school. The kids line up to run the 100-yard dash. They all start off pretty good, but as soon as one or two of those kids pulls ahead, you see a few in the running literally slow down and sometimes stop. That's because when those kids see someone pick up speed, they begin to doubt that they'll ever catch them. And their brain says, what's the use? And suddenly they believe it here. And everything slows down.
I started out in a life of welfare and poverty and became the 25th wealthiest person in America. That would be an extreme that most people can't even comprehend, let alone relate to. And it all started because I believed in my own possibilities.
Whatever we believe, we become.
I don't really think we know what we're capable of. There's incredible potential in all of us. And I mean in all of us, not some of us, all of us. If you find your passion and that energy wells up in you, and if you can dream and start to get committed to that dream and that vision, then you can be successful and far beyond what you ever thought you could.
It is okay to believe in yourself. Start now. Start today.
You are the greatest you that will ever be.
Vincenzo had set a goal. He began to see it powerfully and perfectly. It became real. He experienced it in his mind and in his heart. He was living it vividly as though it had already happened. This gave him the momentum to begin.
I think that the only way you can get to your goal is by having a clear vision. And I feel that that clear vision doesn't necessarily come from your head, but that it comes up from inside of you. That the more we access our gut feeling, the more that we access our core individuality and listen to what it is that's wanting to be said through us, then we have a clear vision of what we're about.
The problem is most people don't really have that clear vision of what success is for them because they've never felt like they were allowed to have that vision for themselves. They always felt like they had to live in to somebody else's idea of what success is.
I think one of the steps that people may not do quite properly is that first step of intention. So many times people's intentions are coming out of a feeling of obligation or I should. When I find that people really stop, which is a hard thing to do in our society to stop, but it's the thing that is most required for us to stop and turn inward.
Someone asked me one day, if you could have anything that you wanted, if you could have your dream life, if it could look any way that you wanted it to look, what would it be? And I was stumped because I was so used to being good at responding to my difficult circumstances that I even honored myself for being able to make the best of a bad situation. So I would constantly have to wait for bad situations to come around in order to identify who I was and to feel my strength to be able to go out there and do something. And so when someone asked me, well, if you could just be on the front side of something like that and just have it be whatever you would want it to be, what would it be? And I couldn't answer the question. I thought, I've got some different kind of work to do.
The only way you can get a clear picture of where you're going and to understand what it is that you want out of life, you must silence the restless thoughts that are going through your mind. And you have to ask yourself, what do I want? How do I feel? And where do I want to go?
In the 1960s, President Kennedy suggested that NASA was going to put a man on the moon by the end of the decade. And NASA took the plan and they said, okay, what's success look like? Success looks like not man on the moon, but astronauts safely back on Earth. So they said, let's plan from there. So there's a group of scientists who looked forward to success and said, let's work backwards and put the plan in place. Now the problem most of us have is we don't have a clear vision of what success is.
I started thinking about the creative process of living your life as it relates to creating music, because I enjoy creating music and I always have. And it comes back, and I saw the parallel so clearly between how the process is the same. When I sit down to write a piece of music, it's generally born out of some inspiration. You know, I don't work under the rules that you have to write this type of piece of music, it's got to be 30 seconds and it's got to be this beats per minute. You know, I have full, because I do it for fun, you know, I have full creative control, so I work from inspiration, just as we should work from inspiration in our lives. That is what should guide us. That is what it should help us to create our vision, a feeling of inspiration, not someone else's sense of passion or their likes or interests, but our own.
I have a philosophy of life, and that is this. Achieving any type of goal in your life is 99% intention, 1% methodology. Is being crystal clear about what you want and the how, the methodology, will show up later.
When people talk of clarity, it often gets described as just writing down your goals. The most important element is often left out. That's finding your motivation. If you want to get to your goals quickly, you've got to have clarity on why you want it. What does it mean to you? Why do you need it in your life? And the stronger and more important the why, the more power you will have to pursue that goal. Finally, the opportunity came for Vincenzo to have his violin. The moment he saw it, he knew that he had to have it. A loving mother felt the same way.